before this all happened, so I have a connection for you to talk about it in detail. Behind it. This podcast is more like a charismatic church service.
That is so funny because I didn't know about that. I mean, I was somewhat raised Catholic. We didn't go to church. I chose to become a full Catholic church member when I went. But I went to public school. Like, we didn't talk about religion much. So my college roommate, summer before we started, gets my name and address first. She sends me a letter, and she's talking about her school, and she talks about how her parents are charismatic, and I literally went, my parents are just weird. I didn't know it was like a sect of Christianity.
Well, welcome everyone. You caught us in the middle of our conversation. We're so glad that you can join us today. I'm David. I'm pastor at Grandview United Methodist Church, here with Marv Hodges, pastor at Bridging the Gap Ministries. And today we're here with Mary Frances McGraw. She's going to be sharing with us about her calling and her passion, how she can help you with life coaching. So we're so glad you can join us. This is Ask the Pastor. And today we're looking at what does the Bible say about entrepreneurship and what does our faith say about entrepreneurship. So Mary Frances, we want you to introduce yourself and tell us about the business that you're doing.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Mary Frances McGraw. Mary Frances is my full first name. And I'm the owner of Practical Life here in beautiful Cuyahoga Falls. I'm a certified lifestyle expert. And what that means is I go into my clients' homes and I help them get organized, which so many people say, oh, I got to take the time to get organized. I can come in and help you with that, setting up systems that will keep you successful in being organized. I also do interior redesign. Sometimes it's just helping you pick out a paint color because you're so overwhelmed, or rearrange the furniture in a way that makes it more practical. And then I also go into more depth with things like etiquette, because you get a gift, you don't know what to do with it, and deeper family etiquette, as well as life coaching. And I take that all in together and I go into people's homes. I oversee them moving as well, and just try to make things make their home an antidote to the stress that's everywhere else in their lives. Turn my ringer off.
We're so glad you can join us, Mary Frances, and it's such a blessing to have you here with us. What led you into this type of work?
As I was sharing a little bit earlier before we went live, I had left a career that I had been successful in but was not happy in, and I thought I gotta up the game when it comes to the resume. So I decided I would just find out if there's a way I could get certified in etiquette and put that on my resume, because it was something I was always interested in. Out of my own curiosity, I bought a book from the Emily Post Institute, and I'm not kidding, it's like this thick, and it's got etiquette for everything you could think of. And through that online school, I found that there were other things, and I talked for a long time about wanting to be a professional organizer, and so I took that course, and then that led into life coaching, because you get advisors through this school, and one of them said that she'd done the etiquette and the life coaching for her business, and so I did that. And then a few years later, I really love interior design. I didn't want to go through the whole process because I thought that would stop me in growing my business. And so I decided to just get my home staging certification, and that can also be called interior redesign. And you don't have to be moving or trying to sell your home for home staging. It can just be that sort of thing. And I decided that I really wanted to go through all of this because I'd always had careers, or at least in part, that helped other people. And I'm one of these crazy people who love it when other people are really happy. If I can help them, I've always been drawn to that. So I took that, I started the business. I came up with the name Practical Life literally in a fit, just trying to come up with something. And I said to my husband, I just want to help people live a more practical life. And we went with that. oddly enough, I did not remember this, but I did go to Montessori school from ages 3 to 6, and practical life is very much a term that they use in teaching children how to, to be educated and to grow up in a way that is much more practical. So, is that a good enough answer, Dave?
I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect answer. And I think, for a lot of us, as pastors or whatever we're calling, it's really to want to help people with their lives. And, I worked as a social worker before. Marva's worked outside of being a pastor. And we enjoy those works, but also you want to do something different. Feel like you're making an impact on people. So that sounds like you found your calling. And to be able to be passionate about what you're doing instead of feeling like I just got to go to make money.
Yeah.
Which I think we've all been there.
I've had a few clients. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you do that for people. And how long have you been doing this?
I kicked off, I got my EIN, your business's social security number, in the fall of 2016, just so I could be established. But I started working with clients in the spring of 2017.
Oh, so for many years now.
For about 7 years. Of course, there was that gap in 2020. I wasn't considered an essential worker, and I was concerned about getting the virus and taking it to my older parents. And of course, we've all heard of Typhoid Mary. I didn't want to be COVID Mary Frances and take it to other clients' homes. So I did pull back a little bit during that time, doing some other things online, other interests that I have. And then once the vaccine started rolling out, you couldn't stop me.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing I've heard that you do is you help women to feel better about themselves.
Yeah, I mean, so often I see these women who just feel like they have to meet a certain image, and they become so overwhelmed that they forget who they are and how they can live a much more simpler, practical life. They don't have to have all of the fancy clothes. They don't have to spend all of this money. And that slowing down and having the home that they really want, which could be smaller, whether we're just donating clothing, clearing out closets and drawers and that sort of thing, to literally downsizing. And that's really important to me. I did work with women in correctional facilities and watching them struggle because they really didn't understand their own self-worth. That's a lot of times why they got into trouble, is because they thought what they were doing would help them, and it ended up hurting them. And so, yeah, I'm very passionate about working with women. I work with men as well. But just having that experience. I was raised by two wonderful parents who always told me that I was, worthy of good things in life and of love and all of that. But not everyone's grown up that way. So it was very important for me to be able to go out and work with these people after seeing what the women had been through that led them to make these poor decisions, or at least be an accessory to something that landed them in the prison system.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You had mentioned, because I was going to ask this question, but you were ahead of the game, and you made a response to it. But what's a different dynamic that you see with men versus the women? What's a different dynamic that you run into?
The men are just kind of like, I don't even know where to start. They do tend to be a little less emotionally attached to things, especially if they're not collectibles. I do think of one client who spent a lot of money on these little sort of odd-shaped head dolls. I don't remember what they're called, but he had a whole wall of them in the living room, and I was like, those are collectibles. They're not antiques. You're not going to get the money back that you think you're going to get. That's another tip. Just because it was really old and it's been passed down in generations, things are only worth what someone else is willing to pay. So, and they're pretty good. I'm like, pick this, this is all, we've sorted through this. This is all trash. And they get the bag and they throw it out. Whereas I've had some women who are a little more likely to sort through the things before they put them in the trash bags. There is more of an emotional attachment, in my experience, for the women than there are for the men.
Men tend to want to just, if it's not ours, let's get rid of it.
That too. I did, funny enough, I'll tell the story real quick. I had a woman reach out to me, and she and her husband were splitting up, and she wanted to hire me to come into her house and like box up all of his stuff and take it all out. And I'm like, I'm not going to touch that because of legalities. He didn't hire me.
Right.
If they were a couple and had agreed to have me come in and work in their home, I would have been glad to, but I work with my clients. And so I said, no, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
I have insurance and I don't want to use it. I don't have to get into legal
Not a marriage
issues.
counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people professional in that help.
Yes, exactly.
With those things.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of relationships is one wants to get rid of it, another doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Because we have an attachment to it.
Yeah.
As a man, a husband, and a father, so I just want to throw it out
Yes.
in the trash because I don't like the mess. But others have an attachment to it.
Oh yeah.
And so I have to remember, okay, it's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
My kids, I can't just throw out their toys because they're in my way.
Right.
I could put them in a bin.
Exactly.
And bring them out later. But to throw them out would be traumatic.
Oh gosh, yes.
For them, and then
oh yes.
I already mess up enough as a parent. I don't
Oh.
need to do that. But we have these attachments to things, needing that process to get rid of them, and permission to get rid of them. But it's hard to do it on our own.
Yes.
And also, in a relationship, you got to be on the same page.
Oh yeah.
What you're getting rid of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What brings you the greatest joy in doing this?
When someone feels like they are at home in their home, where they know where things are, they're not searching anymore. They've literally gotten rid of the baggage, usually through, I try to donate as much as I can to try to prevent things from going into landfills and try to find organizations that can really use them. But just once they can see, the forest for the trees or whatever it is, I want to say, they can be settled. They can care better for their loved ones, and their loved ones can care better for them, especially if they're older. I have worked with quite a few older women who are either divorced or widowed.
I find a lot, being a pastor, women who are widowed, they have a very difficult time once their husband passes. Okay, there's all this stuff in the house. So what do I do with it?
Right.
Do I get rid of it? How do I get rid of it?
Exactly.
Some stuff they find like they didn't even know was in the house because their husband had it somewhere. And so they're going through finding this stuff. And, I thought you got rid of that years ago.
Yeah.
Or just knowing where to take it. And you're going through this grieving process. So that's not easy. And what do you do with all this stuff? And so having someone else to come in to help you with this. And also with older women who are widowed, how do I manage the money?
Especially if the
husband did all the finances, or their car. He always took it to the mechanic.
Yeah.
And so I don't know who the mechanic is.
Exactly.
And are they being honest with me?
Right.
And then buying a new car.
Right. And that, for me, kind of goes into the etiquette of it again. This is your home. It might not be your stuff per se, but there comes a time, and I'm willing to share that I had 4 deaths close to me last year. And one at the beginning of this year was my mother's younger sister. 4 sisters in total. She was the first one to go. So that emotional attachment and having to go through all of these things. And I have worked with families, and oddly enough, many years ago when I first moved back to Ohio from Washington, D.C., I worked at a cemetery, and I was on the front end of that, where they needed, either they were planning for the future or they needed what was called at need. Somebody died, they had to make the arrangement.
Right.
But when you go, you're no longer burdened. But the people behind, one, they've lost you. Now they have to go through the money and the car and the house and all of that stuff, and it's extremely overwhelming. So treat yourself well. Find out these things in advance. Maybe you don't pay the bills in your household, but make sure you have access to all of those things, because if your partner who is doing these things dies, you have to deal with all of it. And now you've got that extra burden. Same thing, find out which mechanic it is. Anything that your partner does and you've never done that, I would say sit down, have a conversation with this person and say, look, I don't want any more chores or responsibilities in the house, but, and I hope you live forever, but the realization is you won't, and I need to be prepared to take these things over. That's a conversation that I think should be had.
It's a gift we can give to one another. So I manage these things while we're both here, but we know that at some point one of us will not be.
Exactly.
So the gift we're giving each other is, this is how you get into this. This is how you pay this. Like I do the bills. My wife does the medical bills.
Okay.
But we're getting better at communicating. This is how you do it.
Right.
But she's better at medical bills. She has a whole system in place. But I pay all the house bills and stuff.
Okay.
But she has access to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just make sure those are paid.
Right.
But it's a gift to share with each other. If I pass, this is how you do this. It's still taken care of, and to have life insurance.
Yes.
Because we all know that we're going to pass at some point, and it's not a lack of faith to have life insurance.
No.
To say, when we pass on, we're no longer in pain.
Right.
And as believers in Christ, we know where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
But our family is still here, loved ones are still here, and they still have physical and practical needs
Yes.
that need to be attended to, and so life insurance helps to care for that.
Yes, it's a lot of people are like, well, I'll be gone and I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. But if you have loved ones,
right,
don't burden them with
yeah,
it.
they do have to worry about this stuff.
Yes,
it's a burden.
Exactly.
The gift we can give them is life insurance, and laying all this out.
Yeah.
This is how you handle these things. This is the mechanic you talk to.
Yeah.
Who you trust.
Well, and like I said, there was at-need, but there's also something called pre-need, at least at the cemetery I worked at. And you can make your arrangements ahead of time. And it's just like anything else, the price is going to go up. You lock in the price now, which sounds really weird when you're talking about a casket and vault and a headstone and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's something very practical you can do. And on a side note, as a military spouse, if you were honorably discharged or a family member was honorably discharged, you get a free headstone from the VA. So that's something that you can look into as well.
A lot of people don't know that.
No, I didn't know that until then, and my father's also.
Even if you're a spouse, someone in the military,
if you're a spouse,
you may not know. Well, you may not know that they get it.
Right.
Yeah. And so learning about this stuff, that
Right.
things are out there to help. And if you pre-plan it, then it's easier when it happens.
Yeah. Then you make the one phone call and everything falls into place.
Pastor and an older adult will pass, and then I talk to the church. Well, we never talk to our parents.
Yeah.
About any plan, so we don't know
exactly
what the details are.
Yeah.
And that's not the time to say, well, you should have talked to someone.
Right.
But it makes you think, we need to communicate with our congregations, talk to cemeteries and that, and pre-planning in the funeral homes.
Yep.
All things you have in place, for your children's sake. So
exactly.
if you do pass, they know who to talk to at the funeral. We have all this laid out. Talk to them about favorite hymns.
Exactly.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
What's their favorite scripture? Things like that.
Exactly.
Talk about those things. It's not morbid to talk about it.
No.
It's practical. And as people of faith, it's also honoring God. Because we know at one time God will call us home.
Yes.
And so let's be prepared for that. Let's do this practical side. Take care of all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very hard for us to talk about that.
It is. And when my husband deployed, he had to have a will. He had to have all that done. And I didn't. And when I left my last career and went on my own, I didn't have life insurance going back to that. And I had a cancer scare.
Right.
And I couldn't meet with my insurance agent because he was really sick, like the day before I was going into surgery. So luckily it was just a scare and everything was fine. But yeah, all of those things that really hit home for me. So yeah, it is. It's about taking care of your family. People think, oh, it's this money, and it's because also if you're you may no longer be suffering. You're also not bringing in an income.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You're not bringing in income. So my insurance policy, because I'm a pastor and the church provides the house. So if I were to die, my family needs a place to live pretty quickly.
Yes.
So mine's at over $1 million. My wife is not that high.
Yeah.
Because they need someone to get a house and a place to live. And
exactly.
so if you're a pastor listening, make sure you have at least $1 million
exactly.
in life insurance. And actually, the cost isn't that much per month.
Oh no,
for
you can get some really.
You can get good life insurance. And if you're United Methodist, WestPath helps do that for us.
There you go.
So pastors, connections and all that. There's ways to do it. It's very affordable.
Yes.
To do it, and you just have to send out direct deposit or directly pay it.
Yeah.
To the insurance company. You don't even notice.
Yeah.
But get that set up, because if you're a pastor and the church is providing housing and you die, well, your family needs housing needs pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so having a higher life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So they get all that and everything. But we're afraid to talk about it, I think.
Yeah.
Which I like you say, the etiquette, life etiquette, how we're presenting ourselves, how we're treating each other, how we're treating ourselves.
Exactly.
I don't want to talk about this.
I'd like to dive a little deeper into the whole point about etiquette. And one of the things that crosses my mind in my journeys all over the place, is when I look at etiquette, not just from the specific place that you've been speaking about,
Yes.
cultural etiquette. And by that I mean, well, I look at it, here's a good example. Last evening, and Pastor David already knows this, I was refereeing a summer league
What sport?
basketball in Wadsworth, and there's a young lady who locally is well known for being, I mean, she, as a sophomore, she already has a full ride to a D1 college. She's that kind of good.
Yes.
But she's also that kind of student.
Mm-hmm.
And so conversations I always have with her when I see her is how mannerable she is.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's an etiquette involved in social life too.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've seen that has deteriorated horribly is how younger people lack respect or want to command respect, having not yet earned it.
Yes.
And so I want to connect there
Mm-hmm.
on etiquette.
Yes.
How do you address children of the clients that you have?
Well, most of my clients have had either older, adult children, or the kids weren't home when I was working in the home. So there's a little bit of that. But I interact with children in different, through family, and that some of whom are now adults, but some were still children. It's just reminding them you've got a whole lot of time ahead of you. You've got to work on it. It's like putting money in the bank. You've got to put that in as far as showing respect to other people, waiting your turn, helping out. That's all sort of a collateral that you can cash in later, because now you've built up that reputation and that respect. And as you were talking, Marvin, it made me think about my days back in community correctional facilities. And these young men would be really upset, like if they got in trouble for violating a rule. And like, man, you distanced me. You're showing disrespect. And I'm like, you broke the law. You got caught, and now you're in a correctional facility. I'm not calling you. I'm not being mean to you. I'm like, you broke a rule, and here's your consequence. And they really struggled with that because it's this whole image in their head. Yeah, there are really famous people, but they've earned that celebrity. You have to earn respect on a daily basis, and it is often in how you treat people, and just sort of doing good things when people aren't looking, and helping, waiting. If you're in line at the grocery store and there's somebody behind you who's got fewer items, let them go first. Just be that way, because then people in your your family, your neighborhood, whatever it may be, they start to see that and see you growing, and that's where the respect comes from. It's not, hey, I think I'm really cool, so you need to respect me and not call me out on my bad behavior or whatever.
Okay.
And I think with that, modeling for young people,
Mm-hmm.
how to respect each other and how to care. I think sometimes as adults, we assume kids can't do that, or
Yeah.
we might talk down the children,
Mm-hmm.
Especially with technology. That, well, kids, they're always on their tablets. Well, I grew up in the 90s. We didn't have it. But if we did.
I grew up in the 80s.
So even less technology.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
We had a VHS VCR. Let me tell you.
Right. That was a big deal to go to Blockbuster.
Yes.
And get a VHS. But if we had tablets and phones, we would have been on those.
Oh yeah.
As well. And there's some dangers in that technology today.
Mm-hmm.
But also learning how to use it safely. But understanding that's where kids are today. We have to model for them how to be respectful,
right,
and care for them and nurture them, and not shaming them, not assuming they're going to do bad things. And even when I grew up, there were kids who were very disrespectful, and you're just looking like, oh man, you're just the right way.
Yeah.
Out there.
The teacher told you to sit down. Just sit down.
Yeah, just sit. What are you doing? And now we have more diagnoses for those things.
Exactly.
And we have he's weird, or he's a mess, or a little crazy. But now we can diagnose it more and have more treatments for those things. But I think it's etiquette for our kids, and notice that some just maybe their circumstance that they grew up in, that they have at home, that causes those etiquette things.
Yes.
And so they're modeling that.
Oh yeah.
They don't have other models.
Like, where did you learn that? And then you see the parent, and you're like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I understand now.
I worry about one about my kids, like, why are they acting this way?
And sometimes they're just kids and they've got energy and they're doing
Yeah.
they're being
And I
crazy.
look in the mirror and I realize, when I was growing up too, I was,
Is that when you pick up the phone and go, I'm sorry, mom and
yes.
dad?
Which is why you realize why your parents are so excited to have grandkids.
Yeah. Because they're like,
Because they
line
want you
them
to,
up and send them home.
they want you to deal with
Yeah.
what they deal with.
Yeah, you get the curse.
Right.
From,
I have another question. Is kind of a
Mhm.
question that's going to be packaged
Okay.
in a statement of sorts. It appears to me that I have a similar journey in regards to leaving corporate America.
Mhm.
Enjoyed what I was doing, but having left corporate America because I was not vocational in the beginning, but then still vocational for effective
Right.
in ministry. I want to just address how you really responded to the call that you knew that you were going to fire your last boss and what led
Still
you
remember
to
the day walking in with my letter of resignation. Yes.
exactly, and how you were led into there, and then what was your spiritual life like at that point in time when you made that decision?
My spiritual life was practicing Catholic, going to church every weekend, and trying to participate in the holy days and all of that. But for my calling, it was just, I so often felt like this sounds really arrogant, I don't mean it, but like, because I'd had all this experience, I'd worked in a corporate world right out of college. I worked for nonprofits in Washington, D.C. I'd come home and I'd work retail, I worked at a cemetery, I worked in, so many different environments. My breaking point was, I can't do this anymore. No matter how good I am, I can't do this anymore. We just bought a house. We lived there almost a year at that point. We had a puppy. And I needed time to truly decompress because I'd gone from one thing to the next thing to the next. So that was the first step, was realizing I was going to break at some point. Yes, I did pray on it. Like, what should I do next? What can I do next? And then, like I said, I just got to get the resume out there, got to get the interviews. What can I put on my resume to make it more attractive, to give me an advantage? And that's when this whole thing led to starting my own company. And I really didn't like being told, by people who were younger than me too. I'm like, you've only ever worked here. You don't know. You don't have any of these other experiences. So but the calling was, I want to help people and I want to do it on my own terms. I want to show that I have this experience from previous professional careers, plus my education and getting my certifications. I mean, I do have a bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in political science and history from Capital University. And I was going to go to law school. And then I decided to take a year off. And this year is 29 years since I graduated from college. And I decided, no, I don't. So it was just, this was the easiest way for me, easy is a funny word in this situation, to help people really get to who they are. Sorry, I'm Lady Barbara. To get to be the person that they want to be, the less stressed, the more organized, the better interactions with people and with themselves.
Okay, so part of it, as I'm listening to you, is that you came to a wonderful understanding of you had arrived at a place of being unemployable.
In a way, yeah, because I just didn't want to, I'd had so many bad experiences.
Right.
Good people. I worked with good people, because if any of them see this, I want them. But I just we're not a good fit. It's like if you're in a friendship relationship or a romantic relationship, you come to a point where like, yeah, we're not a good fit. And that's what it became. It's like, I have outgrown you. I was really already too big of a plant for that pot, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But then I really outgrew it because I was so confident and I knew so much. And working in situations with people who were homeless, people who, like I said, these women who've gotten involved quite often with men, nothing against men.
No, she looked at you when she said
No, I was
that.
looking at the camera. Just trying, I saw people from a point of view I'd never seen them. I was very much don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And then I realized there's so many other factors that impact someone's decision to try to get away with something and then get caught and end up with this sometimes very long record. So I wanted to be able to help them because now I understood people so much better. People who were not like me, people who did not come from a working class neighborhood where at least all of the dads worked and some of the moms, including mine, and we walked to school because the school was right there and we were safe. People who did not have that background. And I just I knew they were there, but I didn't pay attention to them. Now I was spending at least 8 hours a day, 40 plus hours a week with these people, and I was there to help them as well as oversee my own staff. And I said, I still want to have a positive impact on lives. I just don't want to do it here. And here I am today with my own business and getting out there and talking to people and helping them.
I see a place to connect some dots.
Okay.
Because we're still Ask the Pastor.
Yeah.
And then,
And you let me on and I'm rambling. I do that so you can go if need be.
You're doing great.
No, you're doing absolutely great because the less we talk, the better. But for the reference point, I'll make a parallel for you. I look at, we'll start with Peter, who was a fisherman. That's all he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That was his business.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about what we will talk about the other back to different.
Yeah.
But they did that. But ultimately, where they went from being that, they found ways to serve mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really saying to us.
Yeah.
Is you found a way, your passion,
mm-hmm.
and you're no longer working, by the way, because it's your passion.
Yeah. Well, when I'm answering a lot of emails, because some of them are worthy and some of them are not. My attention. I'll remember you said that.
Well, okay. Just
an
encouraging word for you.
It is. It's good. That's what I'm saying. I'll remember that.
Right. So I just see the connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Because Christians should be entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to some information in that reference. This is now 10, 15 years old. That there was some of the major economists in the country, as the country was cycling down financially, said that there was only going to be two different groups of people that would be able to successfully get through the downward cycle. Number one, the people who are already wealthy.
Exactly.
Number two, entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because entrepreneurs can give themselves a raise whenever they want one or need.
Yeah.
You work a little harder, you work a little smarter, and you can add to it from there.
Right. And that happened 4 years ago during the pandemic. People came out of it. I've literally, there's one big box. I don't want to, make it look like I support one big box hardware store over another, but one's right down the road from us. So we go there and being in line with people and just, I don't know, having a conversation because of something they said, something I said maybe to my husband, if he's with me. And, they're like, well, I lost my job in 2020, so now I build decks or whatever it is that they did that. So they took that same thing because they needed to find a way to continue to support themselves, and they found something that they were good at. And so now it's their calling. One guy was a veteran, and I had a conversation with him, being a military spouse. And we went on, and he didn't have any business cards on him. I'm like, dude, take my business card. Get back in touch with me. I need a new deck. But yeah, just making those connections even in lines there, because it is, I do think it's a calling. There's that opportunity. Something is in front of your face, and it's now or never. And that's sort of, I could have gone back and worked in an office. I've worked in offices before, so I wouldn't have to deal with that sort of structure that I was in for several years. But
I think it's true. A lot of people after COVID or through that, I realized I don't want to go back to the office 9 to 5 every day. I want to incorporate my family and my kids into what I'm doing, working my own job, my own schedule, doing what I'm passionate about.
Exactly.
And if I can make a living off of it, that's great. That's what we should be doing. Taking care of your family. As long as you're taking care of your family, that's what matters.
Exactly.
And so it's not illegal, but there's lots of people who started businesses.
Oh yeah.
Even DoorDash, people do that because they can kind of set their own schedule. They make good money on it now because it's a thing.
Yeah.
And so you could do that. You can include your family in that. You could be at your kids' events.
Exactly.
especially when our kids were homeschooled, you could be there during the day
Right.
if you needed to. You can go to stuff in the evenings. You don't have to worry about the commute
Right.
and traffic
the
as
commute.
much,
That's
which took
yeah.
you 2.5 hours some days,
Right.
there and back.
Mhm.
Well, that's why we moved from Coventry to Cuyahoga Falls for anybody local watching this, because my husband had a very long commute to Twinsburg.
Right.
And so we loved apartment living, everything's taken care of. And we said, all right, let's buy a house. And we ended up in Cuyahoga Falls because it cut his commute in half and kept my commute roughly the same time.
Right.
But now my husband works from home full time.
Mhm.
So we have 2 cars, and some days if I'm driving a little further than I usually do, I'll take his because it's more fuel efficient.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to the big box hardware store and buying something big, then I take my car because it's fitting there better.
Yeah. And that's
Or
very
it's
great.
snowing.
The great thing throughout COVID is that we learned how to work from home. A lot of people work for themselves,
Yeah.
make a living, what they are passionate about doing. Even
Yeah.
as a pastor, Marvin will tell you, pastoring is completely different now than it
Okay.
was up to 2019.
Mhm.
We're sitting here at a co-working space at our Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
having this conversation, and we have to be out in the community more.
Mhm.
Our schedules have changed. People that we're engaging, it's the same. We're hardly ever in our church office.
Yeah.
Our office is out in the community.
Right.
Marv has an office down at the Jenks building at Yada Yada Coffee. If you ever want to see Marv, especially on Wednesdays,
Okay.
he has his own business card at the Jenks building.
I'll stop in and see you. I
So
love that building. I haven't seen the remodel yet.
Yeah, so you've got to talk to Marv.
Mhm.
Grandview has a space here at the chamber,
Yes.
a co-working space. We have a cubicle here, but we always got to be out in the community doing something, making connections with people.
Exactly.
I don't want to, as pastor selling your product, but it is.
It is.
We're presenting this to people, and I'm finding a lot of people, they have faith, but it's not always had opportunity to nourish it.
Right.
Especially, on Sunday morning, time you have with your family, maybe the only time that you get off with your spouse.
I know someone who's a local business owner here that says she wants to get back involved in church, but Sunday she works Tuesday. She runs her business Tuesday through Saturday.
Right.
Sunday she's just too tired.
You're tired. You just want to stay.
Yeah.
So we're streaming now, streaming it all the time. But also, I do just as much faith development, spiritual care throughout the week in the community than I do on Sunday morning. So you're just talking to people, having conversations with people where they are, with business owners, the struggles that they face.
Oh yes.
Some you have to sell your business. Some want to expand their business. Sometimes you're selling product, you're not selling as much.
Right.
So does it mean is it going to pick up? You have to worry about laying someone off.
Right.
You just gave it to her. This Jenks business card. The Jenks, yes. But those are actual fears people have if you run a business.
Oh yeah.
And then at some point, are you making enough to pay yourself?
Yeah.
In the end, but you got to pay your employees. So those are fears people have. But they're also faithful people. They have faith in God and in Jesus, trying to figure out how to nurture that throughout the business. So, I think churches need to partner with business owners and how we can support them.
Yes.
What we can do for them. Part of the thing at Grandview this year is to get to know business owners in our community and have a business recognition Sunday at our church where we invite business owners to come in for worship service and have refreshments and after.
Yeah.
But to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Especially in if you open a business since 2020, you took a great risk.
Yes.
More than open a business previous, the risk involved in that. But
we're trying to bring it back.
Yeah. Yes.
To try to grow it back to where it was, which was my situation.
Yeah. So trying to grow it back post COVID now, what that looks like. It's not easy because everything's changing rapidly. Technology is developing almost every day. We talked 2 years ago about AI is coming.
Yeah.
It is here.
Oh yeah, I use it, but
Right.
Because sometimes I'm trying to word something a certain way and I'm just sort of stuck, and I will put in to one of the free softwares, like, what's a better way to word this? And I'm like, because I'm trying to think of a word and I have a thesaurus and I have a dictionary of, we're not into physical books as much anymore, but just being able to pull it open and look. And ours, the Merriam-Webster is the big dictionary here in America. In England, they have the Oxford English Dictionary, and the OED gives you a history too of that word if you're looking it up. But just trying to find something that makes me sound eloquent on days I'm not feeling eloquent.
Because as a business owner, you're the tech person, you're the promotional person.
Yeah.
You're the
my IT is handled by my husband, and the deal is I wash clothes, which is one of my chores anyway.
So we'll go back to borrowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're running all those different hats. You're doing all those
Mhm.
things. So you don't have someone outside who can think of branding for you.
Mhm.
You got to do that. And you
Exactly.
have to learn social media. Okay. Who's the population that I want to reach out to? So where are they at on social media?
Yeah.
Doing videos like this, you got to do videos and streaming
Yeah.
for people. And so some days I don't feel like being on camera.
You've seen me in our weekly meetings. I don't always look like this. Hair in a ponytail, no makeup.
But
Yeah.
I got to get something to go out there.
Yeah. Get
But I got to
dressed.
be in the mood to do it.
Exactly.
And if you have kids at home, okay, your kids are exhausted,
Especially when
wearing
they're
you
young,
out,
yeah.
but then I gotta go broadcast.
Yeah.
But I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
You just have a brain freeze.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what AI has helped with that. Okay, I have this idea. I don't know how to really word it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could put it in there.
Yeah.
And at least, okay, get me thinking stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
can then adapt it more to be me.
Yeah.
But like sometimes, like for me, sometimes working is at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
because you get the kids to bed or dealing with other things. If you have aging parents,
Yes,
you're
that's
caring
my
for them,
situation.
or church members who need some care. Some of this stuff, you're in the middle of the night, you're up. It's so okay. I'm trying to think about this stuff. You just need a little prompt.
Mm-hmm.
So AI has helped with that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it can help with a lot of these things. But, as a business owner, you have to learn it and what works
Mm-hmm.
for it and what we're comfortable with personally
Exactly.
with AI.
Getting over that discomfort.
Yes. How much do we want to give it?
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to work through those things. But it's here.
Yeah. It's
2 years ago, it was on the way.
It's like
It's here now.
For me, the easiest thing I can think of is we really, we're having an event. We really want to have a sunny day. Well,
Right.
Mother Nature does whatever she wants.
Right.
So having to adapt, like we can't just sit out here in the open when it's raining.
Right.
We have to adapt. This is the reality. We have to adapt to it. Technology wise, yes, AI is very big right now, and I'd rather embrace it and understand it than
Right.
be in that fear. It's much like life and faith,
Yeah. So let's examine it and see what it does have
Mhm.
to offer. And like everything, there are parts of it that could be very dangerous.
Oh,
people.
yes.
But there's parts of it.
Anything on the internet.
Yeah, but even that's always been in the past too. When TV came out, people embraced it. And you had to get it in your homes.
I think it was
But
the New York Times said that they didn't think it would last very long.
Right.
Mhm.
But now we all, and there's some drawbacks to TV.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit there all day and watch.
Especially if you sit down at late at night.
Yeah.
Or like late in the evening and just like it rolls to the next episode.
So we used to do that in our chairs,
What time is it?
but now we have our phones. We could just watch it in bed.
Or a Roku, which is my situation.
And so, but there's a great benefit for being on TV and that, and churches embraced that in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
The services. So,
especially the Catholic Church.
So they would
one channel
broadcast
for
their
that.
service.
I forget what the colors are now, but yeah.
Yeah, but they did that to reach a certain population of people. So there's disadvantages to those things, but the advantage was you were in your home and partake in that. But now, before COVID, we would only stream every once in a while when I felt like putting my phone up on Facebook and just broadcasting me.
I know. I keep saying I'm going to do that, and I haven't.
But then, like after COVID, we started doing it every week
Mm-hmm.
through that. And our first ones in 2020, do not watch. They are terrible. Like I'm talking, but I'm drinking water because we didn't know the audio, how to do audio and all that. Yeah. But we've learned better, and so now we have overlays and we have comments on screens and everything on Sunday morning. But you learn how to do it.
Oh yeah.
And you had to learn how to do it.
Yeah, our parish did that to keep people engaged. I had 2 of my former staff members who met while they were working with me got married, and they had the camera, and actually the priest recognized me because it was our parish, and it's like, okay, before the wedding starts, can you run up into the the organ balcony and start it?
Right.
And I said yes, of course, because I was there because I love and adore those 2 people, and it was my parish. And so yeah, just incorporating that in any way they can. I don't live stream things, but I do record usually on high speed. Me like reorganizing a closet, cleaning something out, and putting it back more organized. So that's the way I've incorporated my time.
So this is great because you could do that with reels and stuff. You can get that out. You have to teach us how to do that.
I don't know how to do that right.
Well, you know how to do it at fast speed.
Oh yeah, it's just a setting on your phone.
Oh, so that's what we need to learn.
Yes.
So I want to do that. Like you do it, it just goes.
And they have slow mo too, and I'm like, what could I do that would be slow mo? But I
know. There may be something, but that's the way to get reach out.
Back up on it.
Very carefully. But there's all this stuff that you can do, and But kids today, they know this stuff. It's almost inert and natural for them.
Yeah.
My daughter is 3 years old. She's doing stuff on my phone and tablet that I had no idea. She just does it. We have a smart TV. She likes to watch Ryan's World. And so Ryan was young. Yeah, he was young, and then when YouTube came out, he was one of the first kids on there. Ryan's Toys Review. But now their family does other stuff. He's like one of the most famous kids in the world. But
I don't have little kids, so I don't.
She knows how to start the television, tell it to open YouTube, and then tell the YouTube app to start Ryan's World. And she's 3. And she learned just by watching us do it.
And they're fearless at that age.
They have
so
no
they'll just tap on anything, and then if it doesn't work,
I know.
Mommy, Daddy, fix it. And then they go back and they can find things.
The rest of them, I don't know if I should touch this button or something, but
yeah.
My son's 11 and he's showing me how to do voiceovers.
Yeah.
I heard of you could do it. I never knew how to do it. He said, you just click this and you talk.
Well, yeah, of course. I was testing you to see if you knew.
Oh yeah, I know how to do that.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I meant something else. Never mind.
Because he wanted to come show me. Look, Daddy, look what I did. I'm like, how'd you do that? And it's helpful as a pastor because sometimes you want to show stuff on our website, on our church website. This is where you go to do it. So I can get that now, and just we draw like an arrow, and I say you click here.
Yeah.
But I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But he showed me something that he created on there. And he's creating videos and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow. Yeah. So kids just naturally teach you the stuff now that you didn't know. And like our church stream, I learned how to do our church streaming during COVID in the middle of the night because I was out with my daughter. But I was watching gaming streams on YouTube because gaming is like the cutting edge of streaming.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
So they've had like graphic overlays and stuff on screen, and they had like multiple cameras and multiple people on. So I was watching it because initially church streaming was very bad. It was a stationary camera.
Yeah.
Real far away.
Yeah.
And you could barely hear it. You didn't know who was speaking. And so we wanted to go beyond that. So we have a big camera. We have TVs now. We use our tablets that we have here as our additional cameras. So we have different angles of stuff. The cameras on musicians and all that. But
very cool.
I just learned all this.
I'm gonna have to watch.
And started incorporating it. And it helps because we have comments on screen during the worship service. So if you're joining us online and you comment, it will show up in the sanctuary.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah. And so like we have someone speaking, I can drop their link or their website in the comments and it will show up in the sanctuary too. So it really helps to do that. It shows, because before COVID, you're joining us online, it was sporadic, but also you were just watching. You weren't really a part of the church.
Exactly.
But now it's more hybrid. You have to be a part of it. And so if you're at home, we want you to be a part of it. And so we learned over time how to do that. But essentially, a church in that regard has a product on Sunday morning.
True.
It has to be high quality, high quality that you can afford to broadcast out. And so that's what we're trying to do. Put this out, make sure you can hear all the words to the music.
Yeah.
If we have a guest musician playing violin or something, cameras on them.
Yeah.
It's not real far back. You just kind of hear it. It's right there. But we had an issue. We have a balcony cam that shows the whole place, but people were sitting in the back.
Yeah.
And 1 or 2 sitting in the pews where you could see the balcony cam.
Oh.
So there's no one there.
Yeah.
So trust me, they're here. They're just good Methodists, so they sit in the back.
Be a modern day.
Yes.
Sit up front. We need to show we have people,
yes.
Seats in the seats. Come here.
But we always emphasize, people online are part of the church. And many of our members, if they can't come on Sunday, they will watch online.
Right.
And because we're on YouTube also, they can watch on their TV. And so they can see us. But as a business, you have to get that out. In that regard, for a church, you have to promote it so you can record it and show it live later or upload it. But you have to get product out there. Share this is the message that you have. And so we've all learned that as business leaders.
Yeah.
The past several years, we have to do that. How has your faith impacted how you run your business and the work that you do?
Well, sometimes it is, Lord, help me with this person because words are going to come out of my mouth. They're going to come out. It's just, it really is sort of, well, I wouldn't be put in a situation I couldn't handle.
Right.
There's the old saying, the Lord will never give me more than I can handle. I just wish he didn't trust me so much. And that's some
Right.
days I'm like, what am I doing here? Because this doesn't seem to be working. And sometimes that was my last career, but then I would have an impact. And, clients would go to leave and they would tell me they're going to miss me. And I'm like, you're going to miss me. I'm the one who was on your tail all the time. And they're like, yeah, but now I can see better what my direction really is.
Right.
So, and how, and I'm like, and if nothing else, you don't want to come back and put up with me being on your tail again. So that'll keep you, on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. And I think we've all been there of, Lord, just help me deal with this person. Help me to have the words to say.
Yeah.
That can help them. And sometimes we just don't connect with certain people.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to realize that. But it's been praying, Lord, help me
Well,
me here.
And you mentioned earlier, we have better diagnoses for people's behavior. And I had a
Right.
situation with a long-term client, and I was getting ready to move her from a condo she'd lived in for 31 years, and she did have some hoarding tendencies. Nothing gross. Everything could be made, this little scrap of paper could be made into art. And it's like, yeah, but we gotta go. And one of her daughters came from out of state to help, and I really struggled with this person. And one day it just kind of dawned on me. I'm like, I bet because of her age, because she's 10 years older than me, she's she's undiagnosed as being on the spectrum. And like family came to say goodbye to their aunt before she moved, and they were saying things about the daughter. And I was like, so this is a long-term pattern of behavior. So I do think she struggled because she hadn't been diagnosed.
Right.
This is the only way she knew how to behave, and I wasn't prepared for it in the beginning. And then, then I figured out how to work with her one day when it just sort of dawned on me. And I guess that was the answer that I needed, was she's a pain because
Right.
no one told her,
yes,
this is how your brain works.
I think that's true for a lot of people. Just don't know. They know what's going on. Maybe no one's believed them.
Right.
Or you're not gotten the help that they need or identify it.
Yes,
If you identify it, okay, this is what it is. I could do research on it and know what's happening.
Right.
A lot of people, they just want to be cared for
Exactly.
and loved. And, as pastors and business owners and leaders, that's really what we're doing, is caring for people. If we don't care for our clients or our staff, we're not going to grow our business. If it's just about the money, we're not going to grow it in the end.
Yeah.
So really, we're caring about people. That's why we're providing this service. And so, understanding what they're dealing with,
the
first step, and that the behaviors are coming from somewhere.
Yeah, because there was another daughter, and she's complete opposite. And I found out through the process that they are half sisters and different fathers. And my client told me that her ex-husband and his other children from previous relationships, they all had this sort of behavior. And so I don't know, what they know as far as the behaviors that, the autism spectrum, like, is it inherent? Is it because the environment she grew up in? I don't know enough about that, but it was sort of like, just trying to figure it out. And after that, I was able to get everything, get the moving company hired and get her to the AL facility. And she wanted to keep so much of her stuff. She ended up getting a 2-bedroom apartment, which is of course more money, just to store stuff. And then 13 weeks later, she died. So, that's one of the talks I give, is about, need all this stuff. But yeah, just trying to figure it out. And I do turn to prayer and say, what is going on here? What am I not seeing? What can I do here? Yes, it's easy for me to organize the stuff and get it, in her case, boxed and, get everything arranged and what time, and pick up the donuts and the coffee for the movers, and because I like to butter them up. And what am I supposed to be learning here? And when it hit me with that daughter, I still remember I was in my own house painting very aggressively. And and then it just hit me, and I was like, okay, there's my answer.
Yeah. Question for you. As a young woman of God, how would you encourage people to seek out their calling or to consider becoming an entrepreneur?
There's simple things like pro-con lists. Like, what do you see? Take note of your thoughts and things you even say out loud during the day. And then there's software out there to make a word cloud. What are the biggest words? because sometimes you need that right in your face. It's not going to hit you like some things hit me. Do you like being a part of a team is important, because if you do, then, that can impact the size of the church you decide to go to. For me, that's what I think. Does that answer the question? Because I had multiple thoughts going on, and I was like, how am I going to word this? And then I was like, did I answer the question?
Well, whatever answer you gave answered the question.
There you go.
Because I asked you.
Yeah. But yeah, as a person of faith, it's just, you have to have that faith even when times are tough. When you feel like your prayers aren't being answered, when you feel like obstacles are being put in your way. I just shared a post on Facebook. I go through my, your memories on Facebook up, and I find, I'm like, this was really good 3 years ago. I'm going to repost it. And it's, you were given this mountain to show how it can be carried, or how it can be moved, excuse me. And that, for me, this is a lot about my faith.
So how do people get a hold of you?
When I sent you my logo, which I see you put very nicely in the corner, I was just trying to find one to send you, because I didn't know I thought there was going to be people here today. But my website is www.practical.life. There's no .com or anything after that. And my email address.
So
www.practical.life.
www.practical.life.
Well, there's a dot between the W and the W and the P. www, World Wide Web, .practical.life. Yeah, you can. There's my business card. I can give you one too. And you can message me through there.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way, because if you call me and I'm driving, I don't answer because I want to be a safe driver.
We have that in the comments.
Okay, thank you.
So, and as we close, any words of advice or things you want to share with people as we close up today?
You don't need all the stuff you think you need. It really is that. Yeah. Go through it, and you don't have to throw it away. You don't have to give it to a charity you don't like. I personally cleaned out, professional clothes and casual clothes of mine and my husband's. I donated the more casual, sort of everyday things to a local charity here in the Falls, and I took the professional and the business casual to a local university, the University of Akron, because they have students who need clothes for interviews, and when they get a job, they need at least a few things to wear, and that's where they're going to school. They want to get, a lot of these people want to get jobs where they have to have, professional or business casual clothing. So, and it was such a relief. Ties, belts, just got rid of them.
Yeah, it is a relief to get rid of stuff.
It really is. I'm trying to sell some stuff on Facebook right now, and I've had some luck. But and if it doesn't sell, then I'm just going to donate it to somewhere I think can use it.
Good. Well, we want to thank you today for taking the time to be here and the impact you're making on people's lives.
Thank you. And like I said, I thought I was going to be like, "Hi, this is me," and that was it. So thank you so much. Thank you. You got me thinking about a lot of things today, Marvin, and you David. We missed you in our Wednesday group.
I know. I'll be there. I'll be back. Well, thank you, Mary Frances. As we close up, I want to thank the Cuyahoga Falls Chamber of Commerce for allowing us in their co-working space. So if you see the cubicle behind us, they have several cubicles available. If you have your own business and you work from home, but you just need to be out of the home to work, they have great pricing down here to have your own space where you can set up as you need it. So be sure to contact the Cuyahoga Falls Chamber of Commerce, and let me pull up their information.
A kitchenette with a refrigerator.
There's a kitchenette. There's
conference room.
There's a recording studio here. Yeah. Check out Pedal Stomper Productions if you need to record some things. So if you need office space, check out the Chamber of Commerce. It's at 111 Stowe Avenue in Cuyahoga Falls, Suite 200. Their number is on the second floor. The number is 330-929-969. Let me try that again. 330-929-6756. Be sure to check out the Chamber of Commerce if you need office space. And we'll see you next Thursday for Ask the Pastor, and we'll be discussing women in ministry. So thank you and God bless.